Okay, sorry there has to be two videos for this. I messed up and I have to make another one now because I only did the 4 part of the 422 and added the rest in text just in case I wasn't able to get this done in time. So, the first question I did was, did you ever feel like you were on autopilot in a classroom, be it compulsory school or otherwise? If so, how did it compare to a class where you were actually forced to grasp new concepts? And the second question I had was, did your school appropriately integrate other cultures into its curriculum? If so, do you feel that it improved the overall morale of the students that were from other ethnic backgrounds than Caucasian? So, for my first example, I actually touch on the cultural part again. Um, Watching them proudly play and discuss their music, it was almost as if they felt they were getting away with something that was against the rules. And I touched on this a little bit in my first video, and of course the question I just read, but I want to elaborate on my stance on the cultural affairs in education a little bit more. In my school, if it wasn't, well, my high school at least, if it wasn't a traditional European holiday, it was either completely ignored or made kind of a show out of. Excuse me. And in this situation, it was kind of ignored. It stood out to me even to this day because it really upset me looking back at it. So there was a Hmong holiday going on, and we had some students who wanted to do a traditional dance. And instead of doing that publicly, the students were giving a classroom, or given a classroom, I should say, and they were able to do their dance there. Now, this wasn't talked about at all, and honestly, I think they would have danced alone in the classroom had our teacher not known about it and brought our class in there to watch. So here we have the students wanting to express their culture, and they're forced into kind of isolation within the school to do that. I don't think that's okay. While other holidays, I guess for other cultures, European especially, are just kind of forced upon them. And I hope even having a little audience, just our 20, 30 people classroom, helped them, or made them, at least made them feel a little bit better, you know? And my second expression, or my second example, I should say, is No Zombies Allowed. To bring the title of the article back into focus here, I have an experience on a class where I was forced to not be a zombie for probably the first time. Uh, I probably have already talked about this class in a previous post as well, but that just shows how. Oh, my camera's a bit out of focus here. But that just shows how big of a impact it had on me. So in high school, I took a class that many considered to be a throwaway class, much like he talked about in the article, botany. Botany was probably the most challenging and enriching class I had throughout my 12 years of compulsory school. From day one, instead of sitting in a classroom, we were outside around the grounds and the woodlands of the school to find and identify plants. We actually had to learn in this class and then subsequently apply that knowledge in the field, so to speak. This was more work than I'd ever done up to this point, and honestly, it's probably more work than I've done in most of my classes in post-secondary education as well, but I loved it. It was also one of the more definitive factors in me deciding to become an educator. I want to give my students the same experience that I had in that class. I want them to work hard and earn what they do, but feel rewarded at the end while enjoying themselves along the way. That's a really hard thing to do, but I'm going to give it my best. And that's the rest of my reply. So like I said, sorry this had to be in two videos.